2.5, translating words to expressions. This is going to be something that kind of gets us into, if you have a story problem or something written out, yeah, I know story problems, a lot of people's favorite things in the world. If you take one of those, how can you take the English words and change it into a math equation? That's kind of what we're doing, or a math function or math operations. So first of all, this word expression here basically means math symbols. So we're trying to take words, the English, and we're trying to turn them into math symbols. So to do that, basically we need to kind of know what the code is. What words mean addition, which words mean subtraction, and so on. So I'm going to write out a bunch of the more common ones here, and we'll start with addition. So addition, sometimes they just go with plus. More often you'll see the word sum. So the sum of the numbers, the sum of this, the sum of that. Sometimes you'll see 5 more than something. So that means you'd add 5 when you see the more than. It could be increased by. Mrs. Marsman had a certain number of garden gnomes, and after visiting the flea market, it was increased by this. It could be a gain of. So on. All right, subtraction. If we go over to subtraction. So subtraction, some of these you can take and look at the words for addition and kind of get what subtraction would be. So instead of plus, subtraction would be the word minus. Instead of sum, it'll be what's the difference. Like if we were doing what's the difference in ages. In your age and my age, we do my age minus your age. Could be instead of more than, it'd be less than. I have $10 less than you in my wallet. So it'd be whatever you have minus the 10. Instead of increased by, it'd be decreased. And again, sometimes you'll see just the word less, like 18 less 5 would be 18 minus 5. All right, multiplication. For that, we had plus, we had minus, now we have times. So if we have 5 times as much, it'd be whatever you had times 5. The official word, like sum and difference, the new thing for multiplication would be product. The product of 3 and 5 would be 3 times 5. Sometimes you'll see a word like doubled or tripled or something like that. Or if you see doubled, it means multiply by 2, tripled, multiply by 3, quadrupled, and so on. By would be another one. That's not super common, but of, especially when you're talking about percents, of is an important one when you're talking about percents. What's 32% of this number? Well, then you'd end up multiplying. And last but not least, hanging out here on the end, we have division. So sometimes you'll see divided by. Like sum, difference, product. The official word for the answer in a division problem is the quotient. So quotient would be another one. Sometimes instead of doubled, they'll say like half of or 1/3 of. So you divide by 2 or divide by 3. Half of. Or separate equally. I guess I'm not going to write that one, but if you separate equally into 5 parts, and actually maybe it's in the homework. Separate equally. And you can, a lot of people spell separate wrong, but you can remember there's a rat in the middle of that. separate. And last but not least, per. That often shows up in units when you have like miles per hour. That's miles divided by the per hour. All right, then we'll do a few examples, and then we are out of here. Time for you to try it on your own. So maybe if we keep those words up at the top. The sum of 4 and x. So sum, that's addition. So in other words, we have x plus 4. Usually we try to do the variables before the numbers when we add or subtract. If you did 4 plus x, yeah, that's fine too for now. But this here's the proper form and a little bit better. 3 times x. Well, times is multiplication. We have that one right up there. So we have 3 times x, so 3x. You could put the multiplication dot if you want to, but you don't need it, so technically it's more simplified this way. 5 more than the difference of m and 4. So if it's 5 more than the difference, I'm going to start by finding that difference. So the difference would be m minus 4. Then we need 5 more than that. More than is in the addition, so it could be something like that. 5 more than the difference of m and 4. D dollars more than 50. Okay, well, that would be 50 plus D, because it's D more than that. The proper way to write it, I suppose, is D plus 50, but I wouldn't panic too much about that. I'm worried about that. Like I said in that first example, if you have a variable plus a number, you try to do the variable first. Last thing, a number decreased by 5 and then doubled. So first we have to decrease by 5. So a number, maybe we'll just call that number n or something like that. So we'll say n minus 5. That's a number decreased by 5. And then doubled. Well, you could do times 2, but if you do that, we're really just multiplying that 5 by 2. And I was trying to use purple. So you need to take this whole thing times 2. So the best way to write it would be to have the number in front when you're multiplying. But you do at least need n minus 5 in parentheses, no matter which way you do it. Or I suppose I'd feel a little bit more comfortable if we just had the multiplication dot there. Or you could just leave it nothing in parentheses in the 2. But anyway, something like one of those. But you need to have the parentheses because you need to first do the decreased and then double it. That parentheses make it do order of operations correctly. So that's it. We have some more that are no calculator. So these last ones here, no calculator. You can use your calculator on the first ones if you want. Let me know if you have questions in class.